Welcome to No Limits Fishing. I'm Captain Barrett McMullen.
And I'm Captain Brandt. Welcome everybody. It is mid-summer time. It is hot outside and it's time to go fishing. There is no better place to escape the heat than to get out on the water.
This is true, and you don't even have to be on the ocean to get in the water lately. It's been raining so much. I think I heard that maybe 18 days in a row we've had rain. It's been crazy.
Yeah, the weather, we constantly, this show, you always hear us talking about the weather, how important, I guess it's our everyday life, but fishing, the weather is a huge factor, and rain is not a good thing for fishing. They say the fish are already wet, and that is true, but too much rain can cause a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, more specifically what that means, what does rain mean to the fishing?
Right.
It affects the water clarity if you get too much. Some rain is okay, because a lot of times you'll hear about rain pushing the bait fish out of the inland water into the ocean. Other times you get so much rain, it turns the water brown and things get just unstable again.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously that's what happens, is your clarity is the big issue. So we've had too much rain the early part of this month, but I've always said the weather is a pendulum, just like, hell, life is a pendulum, it swings too far one way, hopefully it'll swing too far the other way, or at least it'll bring us to even. And so hopefully we're set up for some really good weather through the middle and end of this month, and that should mean great fishing conditions.
Yeah, and beyond the rain, I mean, it's been fairly typical summer weather. Temperatures are now about right where they should be. A lot of southwest wind, which is the wind we get this time of year. And so the fish, they have been impacted a little bit by the rain, but it's not too far off of what we would expect.
Yeah, that's right. And so what we're looking at, what's coming up and what's going on right now in our fishing is waters are warming. They're getting right at 80 degrees, even above 80 degrees. And so what it means is a Spanish mackerel fishing. Let's talk close to shore. Spanish mackerel fishing should be very good, particularly as this water clears up after this rain. The schools of menhaden will pile up just offshore of the beach, and the Spanish mackerel will school around the menhaden, and they're good forage, to pick off those for good eating.
Yeah, and they're easily accessible fish. They stay real close to shore, so most boats can get to them. But a little further offshore, you want to call that the intermediate range. The 60-foot depth is usually the depth we talk about, which is out of here, 10 to 20 miles. This is the time of year when things just kind of scatter.
Right.
Early season, you've got distinct temperature breaks, and those fish are going to be in certain pockets of water. This time of year, the water's all round about the same temperature, so fish that normally live in the Gulf Stream may come in, and they just kind of scatter throughout that range. And we're talking about king mackerel, we're talking about cobia, mahi, even some sailfish mixed in. So there's a lot to do right now.
Yeah, we actually had a sailfish that we released off one of our charter boats last week, just 8 miles off the beach here. So like you said, fish, they just sort of mix everywhere. Basically, they're following their food. That's the main thing. The fish go where their food is, probably just like I do. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, above and beyond every other piece of information you should take into consideration when going fishing, go where their food is.
Right.
They have to eat, and they're going to do that. So, after that's pretty much our view on what's happening out there offshore. Let's get up with Captain Jeff Williamson here at the Ocean Isle Fishing Center with Get Busy Charters, and let's see what's happening on the inshore waters.
Sounds like a plan.
No Limits Fishing with Captain Barrett and Captain Brandt McMullen is brought to you by Yellowfin Yachts, only in a yellowfin.
All right, folks, welcome back. We have Captain Jeff Williamson with Get Busy Charters out of the Ocean Isle Fishing Center on the line. Captain Jeff, are you there?
I can hear you.
All right, Jeff, we're looking for an inshore fishing report. Tell me what's going on.
Well, inshore fishing has been, I won't say great, but it's been steady. We are managing to put some fish on the docks.
Yeah, you sound a little pessimistic. What's behind that?
Well, the large amounts of fresh water that we've been having has definitely put a damper on things. And the wind, the good thing about inshore fishing is, even with the wind, we can find places to hide. The problem is just the real inshore places, like the Chinook River, the Calabash River, has just been inundated with huge amounts of fresh water. So we've had to move to some of our closer places towards the inlets and fishing the live shrimp, which we now have here at the Ocean Isle Fishing Center. And if it keeps raining, we're going to have to start stocking crickets, because we're going to sinking Christmas trees and catching crappie.
I hear you, Jeff. Well, what are you catching right now?
Well, today we did have a couple of flounder today. They were both short fish, but the black drum bite has been consistent. We caught a few sheephead this week, and and thank God for red drum and speckled trout, because the red drum and speckled trout bite has been real consistent.
Yeah, speckled trout, I have not really heard you mention those much this season. Can you tell me a little bit more about the trout bite?
Well, the shrimp are just getting big enough to really use for bait, and we're floating some shrimp in about 6 feet of water under a Cajun float, and doing real good on the speckled trout. We've had one, close to 5 pounds this week.
Wow.
Bunch of 2 and 3 pounders. So the speckled trout bite has been good on the closer to high tide. The closer you can get to high tide, fishing 3 to 5 feet of water, you can catch some trout.
That's great, Jeff. So trout, redfish, black drum, a few flounder mixed in. It's not all bad. Thank you so much for the report, and we'll catch up with you later.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Talk to you later.
Wow, Jeff, despite all the rain, seems to still be catching fish, but you can definitely tell that inshore, it's much more affected by the rain than offshore. He's talking about the watercolor and how it's changed.
Yeah, no doubt that they have a lot more to deal with on the inshore side with the water. But let's get an offshore perspective. Let's talk to Captain Chris Dew with the Ocean Isle Fishing Center's offshore fishing fleet. He fishes the OIFC World Cat, and let's see what he's got to say.
How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing great. Glad to have you on. We're looking for an offshore fishing report, Chris.
Okay, well, as you know, we've been dealing with a little bit of weather for a few days. But before this weather set in, we were doing real well with king mackerel bite, particularly in the 65 to 80 foot of water range. The water's real pretty out there, and we were catching kings as well as a few mahi mixed in. And closer inshore, there have been some really big Spanish biting while we were king mackerel fishing. And hopefully as soon as this weather breaks over the next couple of days, we'll get right back to them and they'll be ready to eat.
There you go. That sounds like a plan. Well, Chris, let me ask you something here. If I'm a tourist, if I'm on vacation, I'm down here at Ocean Isle, and I just want to go catch something offshore, where do I need to go? What technique do I need to use?
Well, my suggestion would be to do some slow trolling and kind of target the mackerel species, be targeted for the king mackerel. But while doing that, you're going to be subject to catch these larger Spanish. We've been catching Spanish in the 3 to 5 pound range on dead cigar minnows, and the king mackerel as well. And we're also still keeping our eyes open for the occasional cobia that swims up into our spread, which, as you know, we've had pretty good success with those this year, and they're still around. But that would be my biggest recommendation is go out and do some slow trolling and just be ready for your king mackerel, Spanish, and maybe a cobia.
Yeah, and I think as you mentioned, that 60 to 80 foot depth range, which for us is 10 to 25 miles offshore, seems to be best. So that's a really good report. Have you you got any good fish stories from your latest adventures? Anything happen of significance or anything lately?
Well, we'll throw in that we have had a few mahi in that range, some decent-sized mahi, and just be ready for a lot of dog sharks. They're a lot of fun to catch, and they get you primed for that big fish that comes in.
That's good, Chris. Well, it sounds like you're staying busy out there. Is, over the next week, do you think things are going to kind of stay the same, or is there going to be, what's going to happen?
Well, I feel like that over the next several days, as this weather system starts moving out, the water's going to start laying down, get a lot nicer for boats to get offshore. And I feel like the water, as you get further from the beach, is going to clean up good. There was a lot of bait prior to this wind we've had, and I'm sure the bait's still going to be there. And, once we give it a few days for the bait to kind of get back to normal, the fish are going to be right in here looking for them, ready to eat.
Yeah, that sounds good. Real consistent. We always talk about stability being really important. But hey, Chris, I just wanted to thank you for your time, and I wish you really good luck in your fishing offshore over the coming weeks. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Well, offshore fishing has certainly been tough over this last week. All this southwest wind, these storms that keep coming through, it's made it tough to get offshore, but when they are getting offshore, they're still catching a few fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of happy charter customers with smiling faces, regardless of what's been in the poll. So that's the good news, but there's definitely an upside, some positive ahead, it sounds like, too.
Absolutely. Well, we've heard from Chris, we've heard from Jeff. Let's go on one of our no limits adventures and do some cobia fishing.
Yeah. This is the time of year. The cobia fishing is awesome, and this was a really cool show. Called our shot, so we're right out of the gate, and I can't wait for you guys to see this one.
No Limits Fishing with Captains Brandt and Barrett McMullen is brought to you by the Ocean Isle Fishing Center, located at the base of the bridge at Ocean Isle Beach, the go-to place for everything fishing in the Carolinas.
Captain Barrett, it is a beautiful morning. Time to go fishing. Are you ready for our next adventure?
Can't wait. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go offshore today. What I think we'll do is we'll run offshore somewhere in the 10 to 20 mile range. The cobia have been around, and some amberjack as well. We're going to do some wreck fishing, and when you do that, we'll take live bait. Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, it's probably one of the most entertaining type of fishing that we do out of here. It's a great trip if you're taking folks that are less experienced, but it's still fun when we go too. I mean, it's one of the deals, you anchor up, put some chum out, take some live bait, and you kind of just wait for the fish to come to you.
Yeah, it could be anything. So we'll see what comes to the boat today. It's like I said, a beautiful morning. So let's go fishing. So we've located the fish here. We're actually out here on our fishing hole. If you look down here at the screen, you're going to see the bottom, what we're looking at here. This is actually a wreck. This is the bottom right here, and you'll see it come, this big red line. This is actually another level where the ship, I think it's a barge, comes up off the bottom. And this is where the fish, hopefully, your wreck fishing, amberjack, cobias, barracudas, king mackerels, who knows what. So we're at our spot for the day, and we're gonna set anchor, start chumming, and then see what happens from here. But this is what we're fishing on today. So here, anchored up over this wreck, cobia fishing. One of the most important things that one of the most important techniques we employ today is chum. You gotta have chum when you're doing this kind of fishing. You're trying to draw the fish to you rather than you hunting around trolling for them. You're trying to bring them to you. So the way we do that is by chum, and this is a home brew here. Just basically ground up a bunch of pogies and added some fish oil and maybe some dog food and whatever kind of secret concoction you can come up with. But it's just gonna put a slick on the water, put a good scent in the water, and hopefully the fish will be out there, and they'll pick up on the scent and come right to the boat. So that's the game plan. We'll see. All right, Ricky. All right. came out here for. Hang on, let's do this together, Barrett. All right, Barrett's got a jig right here. I'm gonna grab a live bait. I'm gonna hook my live bait on the circle hook right here. Barrett, which one do you want to catch? The big one or the little one?
I want the big one, of course.
I'll catch it. Hell, I'm in the water. Here I go. Whoa, oh darn, they looked at you.
Oh, I got the big one.
No, did you get the big one?
Oh, you dropped it. Oh, they're not eating it. They're just playing with it.
Oh, they won't bite mine either. My bait's swimming away. Oh no. Oh no. Folks, what you're seeing here, this is what you call getting your butt whipped. The Cobia show up. They're right there. Oh, here's a big one coming to my. Oh, he looked right at it. Come on, eat that thing. That's a big fish. Look at it. Look at it. Oh no, we're getting killed right here. You got two Cobia, one probably 50 pounds, one probably about 40 pounds. Oh, he's right there. Take it away from him. Take it away. Take it away. Oh God, I'm watching the jig down here.
All right, so we're hooked up here, sat down on the anchor. Cobia came right to the boat, just how we had it drawn up. And this is the big one. I got him right here. There's still another one with him. But these Cobia, they're weird fish. They want to come up, be real curious, and then a lot of times when you hook them and you see them, what'll happen is they'll bite and they really don't know what's going on. They may not know they're hooked, so they don't fight that hard at first. But at some point, he's gonna figure it out, and then I'm gonna be in for a world of hurt. A fish this size, you know, I fought Cobia for, you know, over an hour before. And they are one of the strongest fish in the ocean, but they're a ton of fun to catch, and even better on the dinner table. So we're hooked up right now. Hopefully we stay buttoned up to them and put them in the boat.
All right, well, he won't seem to bite that, but when he gets close, maybe I'll tease him up. But what I also want to do here is we have a lot of live bait. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a bait on a circle hook and let it swim out there. And you know, heck, there could be more Cobia back here, but I'm also gonna do what you call live chumming, which is when you take your bait and you just kind of, I know that might look a little cruel at home, but what I'm doing is just stunning the baits a little bit, and hopefully that'll draw another fish. Rather than stick a gap in him, I'd really like to reach down, see if I can grab him. This might be funny. Try not to break the leader. Oh, there he is. That's awesome. Come on over here, Cat Ricky. Get this picture with me real quick. There you go. Nice fish, sir. Nice Cobia. About 30, 35 pounds. Circle hook. Look at that circle hook. Check this out right here. The way a circle hook. It does not matter how deep that fish takes the bait. The hook will always get in the corner of the mouth. Always. So, very cool.
Super important when you're fighting Cobia, you know, even more than most fish, to keep the line tight. because they like to shake their head a lot, just shake back and forth. And when he shakes, I think that could put slack in the line, and if you slack in the line, the hook falls out. So you really got to be on it. Ricky, I'm gonna get a gap shot, maybe. Come on, Ricky's right here. A little bit closer. Turning, Ricky. Bring it to you. Just slow it down, Ricky. Nice. All right, this is what we came after. This is a solid 50+ pound cobia. We got actually several in the boat, 30, 40 pounders. Good job, Captain Barrett. That one bit a jig, didn't it? Can I drop him now? Yeah. Okay. Nice fish. Woo! All right.
No Limits Fishing with Captains Brant and Barrett McMullen is brought to you by the new Carolina Wing and Fish Company, located in downtown Charlotte, under new ownership, featuring fresh fish straight off the boats from the Ocean Isle Fishing Center.
All right, folks, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed our No Limits fishing adventure. I had a really great time on that trip fishing with Captain Barrett, and you notice our guest star in the background. That was Ricky Beck of the Ocean Isle Fishing Center, a great friend of ours. It was just, Barrett, it was, I guess you'd say it was a Babe Ruth moment. We called our shot right out of the gate.
Absolutely. You know, it was one of these deals where, you know, we're here on the docks. We see all the cobia coming in. It was like, man, we got to go do that. It just, the cobia fishing this year has probably been the best we've ever had out of Ocean Isle. And, man, you know, we loaded the boat up specifically targeting cobia, which you can do. And, you know, we went out to some areas where we thought they might be, and what did it take, 5 minutes?
It was moments, just seconds before. If you noticed on the show, we sort of talked our way through it, almost like we thought it was going to happen. Normally fishing doesn't work that way, where you actually get to do what you say, but the chum went in the water, and it wasn't minutes later before the cobia was right there. And then is sort of when the mayhem began. And the cobia, I actually kind of liked it because they didn't make it that easy on us.
No, they're a funny fish. It's probably one of the most fun fish to target because, you know, they can be a challenge. You know, they're not always, you know, dumb big catfish that come up and gulp the bait. You gotta talk them into eating sometimes, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, that's the ones. I guess I don't like them, and I do like them. I don't like them because I really want to catch them, but I do like them because I like to feel kind of like I've outsmarted a fish when I catch them. And like you said, a big dumb fish. I mean, sometimes they absolutely will come up and eat anything you put behind, and that's great. But these fish, I don't know whether they had seen people before or maybe even had been hooked. But they were a little weary, and if you noticed at the beginning the show, you and I were talking about how the fish wouldn't take the jig, and so talk me through what you did.
Yeah, I mean, cobia, there's what you're trying to do with the cobia that doesn't just come up and eat is you got to make him mad. It's not about him being hungry and he says, oh, I need to eat something. You've got to aggravate that fish enough to make him, basically, or we might swat a fly away.
Right.
He can't do that, so he's just going to take a quick bite.
Right.
And that's what we do with these jigs is, maybe like a 2-3 ounce jig. Any of these right here are great examples. And it's just picture a fly buzzing around in front of your face. How long could you take that?
Yeah.
At some point you're going to do something about it, and that's, it probably took 3 or 4 minutes, but I kept tossing that jig right in front of his face, just bouncing it, and he didn't just gulp it, he just kind of snapped at it, like, get out of here, and that's how we hooked him.
Yeah, sometimes what I tell people too is that when they start to show interest, that's when you actually start taking it away from them. Because if you just give them an opportunity to sort of look at it, then they'll eyeball it and think about it. But as soon as they pay attention to it, I say, take it away. And so what happens, you keep taking it away to where he's not just going to lazily look at it. He's going to jump at it when he sees it because he's tired of thinking about it. And you have to be ready, but as soon as he jumps at it to see what it is, bam, you set the hook.
Exactly right.
And you got him on then.
Yeah, and the jigs, that's one way to do it. Live bait normally is
Sure.
a non, they don't typically turn those down, but Sometimes they will.
Yeah,
On this particular day, they did.
Yeah, I think we caught one on jigs, or maybe two on jigs and one on live, but we finally caught them on both, but it wasn't like they were just jumping on them, but we did catch them on both.
Right, and again, sometimes it's like, if they've seen one thing too long, just stop what you're doing, grab something else and throw it, a jig, a live bait, even something like this, popper right here, anything like that, just to aggravate them and give them something new to look at might be the secret.
Right, yeah, I take, actually another little trick, this is just some old pork rind that you use, and that's down and dirty bass fishing. You take some pork rind and put it on the back of one of those jigs and it creates some scent. Or sometimes it's been so dumb as to just take a squid out of a cut squid out of a box, throw it on a hook, and throw it in front of them. It's just, something might have their ear, grab their attention, and and that's what it'll take. But one thing I wanted to talk about though was the actual setup that we like to use when we go fishing for cobia. We typically take a spinning rod with us, generally in the 20 to 30 pound class, such as this. We've got it loaded with braided line here. This is 30 pound braid, up to 50 is good, so 30 to 50 pound braid. But then what we'll actually, Captain Barrett's got it right here, is we take some fluorocarbon. This is 30 pound fluorocarbon, and we splice about anywhere from 6 to 10 feet or so on the end of the rig. And Barrett, tell them what's that about?
Yeah, basically what you're doing there is fluorocarbon is invisible, right? So, you're hopefully tricking the fish. He doesn't suspect anything.
Right.
Also, it acts as abrasion resistance. And that 12 foot, is going to cover the length of his body, hopefully.
Sure.
And, that helps you
12
land the
foot.
fish. Yeah.
How big one are you catching?
Yeah,
I only said I was using 6 foot. You're catching fish twice as big as I do.
I'm prepared for the biggest that are out there. But yeah, that's the purpose of the fluorocarbon. And, whether you put a jig on the end or you put just a single hook with a live bait, you still want to use that fluoro.
Yeah, it'll help. And then, just to get back to the rod and reel, the capacity, I'm going to say you're going to want 300 to 400 yards of capacity at least, something with a nice strong drag system. You're not going to, the cheapest one in the shop is not the one to get. You don't need the most expensive, but you need a good reel behind you. Your rod too, it needs to be rated in that 20 to 30 pound class, generally 6.5 to 7 foot, so it's got a good bit of action on the tip, and that allows you to fight the fish and do well. But anyway, Barrett, I really enjoyed the fishing with you. It was a great time, and thanks for letting me tag along.
No problem, anytime. It was a blast, I gotta tell you. Anytime you can go fishing and catch what you were trying to catch, it's a good trip. But anyways, that's gonna be it for this week. Next time when we come back, I'm not sure exactly what our adventure is gonna be, but hopefully we're gonna get out on the water soon, and it could be anything from scuba diving and shooting groupers to catching blue marlins. Who knows what's next?
Hey, fish beware. We'll see you next week on No Limits Fishing.